Audience, welcome to Viewpoint from Overseas. I have with me my friend and a scholar, public intellectual, Dr. Moeed Yusuf. He is joining me from Washington, D.C. via Skype. And first of all, I would like to thank you, Moeed. You are so busy and you gave us 10, 15 minute, 20, maybe 11 minute per show. So thank you very much for your time. Moeed, first of all and last of all, I have basically one question to you. How you see overall elections?
I could spend the next hour talking about just your question. Look, I think there's no debate that the election has been marred with controversy. There's been question of pre-poll manipulation and rigging. It's absolutely clear that former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif and the military have had a falling out. The duel was very public. I mean, there's no hidden secret here.
Yeah.
Election day, though, I would argue, was fairly good. The EU Observer Mission has also confirmed this. The results got delayed. There were technical problems at some polling stations. Yes, polling agents were told to leave, which is against the rules. So one can't say it's perfect, but by Pakistani standards, I would say that the poll day seems to be fairly good. But there is definitely a cloud hanging over this election when it comes to pre-election. At the end of the day, in a way, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Same kind of argument in 2013, and in some ways, Mr. Imran Khan and now the future Prime Minister. I think he's going to have a bit of a taste of his own medicine because, as you know, he's the one who rejected the last election's results and then the protests, street protests, etc. I just hope that this opposition plays this maturely and lets the new government first form government and then really govern Pakistan without this kind of problem with street protests and everything else.
Knowing Imran Khan, I was just listening Gharida Farooqi interviewing Fawad Chaudhry. Fawad Chaudhry said, when Gharida asked, Fawad Chaudhry said that no, the foreign policy always governments make, so Imran Khan's government will make and the military will have an input in that. How do you see that? How he is so confident about it? Is it some sort of deal between him and military?
I think if you know Fawad Chaudhry, you know that he's confident about everything. So I don't think you should read too much into that. No, look, I mean, I think, I go back and forth on this. The military holds the account for much of the important foreign policy, be it the region, be it the United States, be it Saudi Arabia. I don't think that's about to change. What will change, I think, is that the civil-military disconnect that you had with the Nawaz Sharif government and Nawaz Sharif trying to push back on the military and really trying to change the paradigm in some ways. I don't think Imran Khan is going to go there. He understands the compromise that he has to make. He understands how the perception of his relationship with the security establishment has played out. And I actually think it would be fairly brash on his part if he tries to take on the military without, early on in his tenure. There's no reason to do that. I mean, there is a status quo power institution. I think what is crucial is that the civilians ultimately create a mechanism to get input from the military regularly and then at least ostensibly take the lead in making decisions. I think there needs to be a harmonious relationship. I, like many others, everybody else, hopes that this civil-military imbalance is corrected once and for all, but quite frankly, it's utopian. It's not going to happen. And so, rather than another rupture between the civil and military sides of the divide, I think it's crucial that they find a way to work constructively, but also leave the civilians, as I said, at least ostensibly in charge of making the decisions.
So, Let's go back to a little bit to my first question. You say that the election day was relatively better than what was happening before, a couple of months. However, there are a lot of people on the social media. I mean, you are not very active on social media. I don't know. Maybe you get some information. Yeah, so it is, and there are videos are now published where they are showing that, and it is, in one way, it is growing, and people like Aisha, Ijaz Khan, and these type of, outspoken people on the social media, at least, they are making a lot of noise, and they are coming up with all these different incidents. So how you see it, where it will all go? Do you see that, I mean, just look at your crystal ball and your experience with those people in Pakistan, the politicians, do you really think that they will go towards some sort of movement like 1977? May not be as extensive or something, but do you think anything like that?
Elections and post-election periods and politics in Pakistan and around the world, it's about deal making. What you've got to really study is who is in a position to strike a deal with which other party, which other actor, and where does that leave you in terms of the overall picture. First of all, I'm sure these incidents have happened. I haven't followed social media on this, but absolutely, I have no doubt. And I think if anybody thinks that Pakistan's elections are going to be incident-free and clean and nobody is going to try and rig elections in one constituency or one polling station or whatever, I think that's naive. Definitely some incidents have taken place. The question is, I'm at least a believer when it comes to developing country democracies, that you need to ensure that the election system is as good as it gets in the context that you are, and you have an election that actually is not robbing the winner of their victory. But other than that, these incidents, I am sure they've taken place. They should not. They should be investigated. But I do not see any real evidence of a mass level engineering on election day. That again does not absolve the pre-election scenario, as I said. I don't see any 1977 happening here. I think at this point, the most likely scenario is that the opposition protests will fizzle out. I hope they do not take to the streets. I don't think there's much there to do that. Also, the Pakistan People's Party has been very careful. They've opposed it. They've made a fuss about what has happened. They haven't come out and rejected the election results because ultimately they're also hoping for a deal. They have a very strong hand in the Senate, and so the PTI can't ignore them completely. So if you were to study the deal-making possibilities, it's really the PMLN, quite frankly, that has some clout and power and is rejecting the election results. But I'm not sure they are going to be on the streets creating the dharnas that Imran Khan did. As it is, those dharnas didn't deliver much for Imran. I think PMLN's focus probably is and should be to see if they can form government in Punjab. I mean, that's really what's going to give them the cachet to hold the government's feet to the fire. But other than that, I just don't see this becoming a major storm.
But you talk about Punjab, PMLN government from Punjab. But how they can make in Punjab? Because Punjab numbers don't work like for them. Because they are in lead, of course. However, there are like 30 independents. I mean, and those independents are going to join the winner, not the loser in the federal government. So how do you see that they can ever make the Punjab government?
No, I think that's fair. I think PMLN has a very uphill battle, and PTI probably will end up forming government in Punjab as well. The bottom line is, unfortunately, again, the way you woo independence in Pakistan is not on merit. There are offers put on the table. Sometimes there are side payments. All of that happens behind closed doors. So, you know, I can imagine the PMLN trying at least to see if they can woo some of these independents under the pretext that after the 18th Amendment, it is really the provinces that matter more than the center. And so if they can offer them the kind of, essentially positions or whatever else power structures they can create for them, they probably will try. I don't see why the PMLN will not make whatever effort it can, but I agree with you. I think the odds are stacked heavily in the PTI's favor.
And there is a news. It's not a news. I talked to somebody and they in Pakistan, and they say that probably today is their meeting. CC meeting of PMLN, they told that probably Mr. Nawaz Sharif told Mr. Shehbaz Sharif not to make government and be in the opposition. So I don't know to what extent this news is correct or not. Moeed, thank you very much for your time, and coming days we will be in touch with you. We will be asking more. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, I must tell you, you guys must read Moeed's new book. You can see the title on the screen. It is a wonderful book. I made more than half, and it is a knowledge, and it is a very new way the strategies and the diplomacy should work. Moeed discussed that. So Moeed, thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, that was all for today's show. I am your host, Misbah Azam, with my special guest, Dr. Moeed Yusuf.